Okay, so I thought I'd bore you all with the comic origins of the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Warlock, Adam Warlock, in celebration of the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I am hoping, sincerely hoping, that it's a decent send off, which I believe it's going to be, for this gang of miscreants. But I've got a selection of comics here just for a bit of fun. Let's look at the origins of what they're doing in the comics now, what we can maybe hopefully expect from the film. It's not going to be anything hardcore. It's not going to be one of my rants. It's just going to, well, to be fair, it's just going to be looking at some old comics. Join me after the scroll if you fancy some of that. Bonjour. So, first off, if you're one of my regulars, thank you ever so much. Liking and commenting, and most of all, if you're mental, subscribing, is really helping me grow the channel. So thank you one and all for that if you've already done it. If you haven't already done it, and this is your first time on the geekyOlhog rodeo, then please, if you can, even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, not that this is one of my more controversial videos, let me know. Let's talk about it. But there's nothing I want more than to chat about comics. Let's get right into it. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 due out very, 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 very soon. In January of 1969, this is what they look like. Believe it or not, I don't know if any of you are aware of the fact that this is where they started. Now, I know that they haven't based the movie characters on any of these, because you've got Charlie 27, the big geezer in yellow. Charlie 27, he is like third generation living on Jupiter, and because their gravity is 3 times of Earth, you know, that's what makes their body like that. Martin X is from Pluto, and that's what it does to the atmosphere. That's what it does to his skin, turns it into like diamond. And here you've got Major Vance Astro, who left Earth in 1988 to go to the stars, like the first Earthmen to the stars. And what happened was he left in 1988, and by the time he got to where he was going 1,000 years later, Earth technology advanced so much that when he got to where he was going, everyone said hello. Everyone was greeting him. He had a hero's greeting, but obviously he'd made the ultimate sacrifice for nothing, really, because technology advanced. I thought that was a fantastic sci-fi trope. Not that I read this back in 1969. I was only 2, but I'm just saying I like that aspect of this story. Interestingly enough, the only original member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Yondu. Yes, Yondu. And in this issue from 1969, that is basically the only original thing where he whistles for the arrow, or the whatever it is you want to call it in the films. That's the only original thing that has remained from that after all those years, which I think is pretty cool. Because I'm not saying that I've enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy films. They've adapted what was going on in the comic books very, very well, and I think it was Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's kind of run on it that they've kind of taken the films from more than anything. And I haven't been a big fan, a big follower of their comics all the way along. I mean, the modern stuff, there was this little one shot earlier on in the year, which literally takes the movie characters. It literally takes every single one of them and puts them, this is just a one shot, just puts them into a short story, and you can hear the voices of the actors as you're reading the comic, which I thought was nice. It was decent. But at least Marvel they're kind of using the popularity of the films to generate some interesting comics, which is great. And the latest Guardians of the Galaxy comic, which I have reviewed this in my weekly comic roundups, with art by Kev Walker, and I've been a big fan of his for donkey's years, like for a long, long while. And it's got, but what this one does is give us we're back to the comic book basics. So whereas that one shot was giving us the cinematic Guardians in comic form, that one is bringing us back to bringing it back to the comic book dynamics of these characters and the settings and the stories. Now, going on the trailer, one of the big characters is going to be Adam Warlock, played by Will Poulter. Is it? Sorry, I forgot his name wrong. Now, they did release this recently, which basically, it wasn't a bad comic, but they're kind of turning Warlock into a superhero. And based on what was going on in the trailer, was kind of, his origins were, he was created by 4 scientists in Fantastic Four issues 66 and 67 back in the, well, I'm saying issues 66 and 67. It was in the year 1967 that those 2 issues come out. This is the second issue from when, and he was called Him. It was only the High Evolutionary that we see in the trailer of the film, the black guy who's playing the High Evolutionary, who names him Adam Warlock in the further adventures of, after he's been created in this cocoon. This is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby at their most finest madness in the late 60s. So, but if you thought that was mad, 4 scientists trying to create the perfect man, a guy called Jim Starlin, who was the creator of Thanos as well, his run on Warlock is the ultimate, and they've just re-released this issue. Out of all the Warlock stories, Marvel has just re-released this as a I don't know what they call them, facsimile editions, or whatever it is. And the Jim Starlin, creator of Thanos, for me, really, the creator of Warlock, the one that I know and love. Just look at the title, The Man Who Stalked the Stars. He's dark, he's brooding, it's sci-fi stories. He's not a pleasant character. To be honest, he's not a pleasant character, but the interest is in the intrigue, is in all the characters around him. And that's where they also introduce us to Pip, which I know that I don't know if he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, but that post-credits segment, wasn't really impressed with Pip, to be fair, because what Pip is a gruff, kind of very human counterpoint to the intense alien nature of Adam Warlock. Because as much as he's been created as the perfect human, he is not. He is not. And that's where, for me, the interest is in that character. Whether or not they go that route in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I don't know. But at least based on the latest 2, at least Marvel are, with these 2 books, at least they are trying to capitalise on some interest in it. And the comics are good. This comic, I mean, you had Ron Lim. You've got Ron Lim on the artwork. And he's kind of like, he's a veteran of, and Ron Mars even on the stories, but Ron Lim's a veteran of comic book storytelling. And it's not a bad job, but they have tried turning him into a superhero rather than keeping it. You know, when you look at the 2, you know, one of these is sci-fi and one of these is superhero comic book. I just hope we get this. I mean, physical appearance wise, just before I go, physical appearance wise, I don't think Will Poulter looks like that. I don't think he looks like the physical perfection embodiment of a human being. But it won't bother me if they tell a good tale. I've got no reason to believe up to this point. We shall see. I'll have plenty to say after I've seen the film in the next couple of days. But I just thought I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to waffle on like I normally do and do a deep dive. And if you do want me to do a deep dive into any of these, let me know. Let me know, and I'll do a little side shoot, because there's a lot there. I could have gone into all the religious backstory origins of Roy Thomas doing a run on Warlock, on Adam Warlock, and Jim Starlin's run as he was creating Thanos and introducing us to Warlock and Pick the Troll and Gamora, because it was this run on Warlock in Strange Tales that Gamora first turns up and Pick the Troll, which is also interesting because she ends up in the Guardians of the Galaxy. But in the latest Warlock Rebirth, Gamora is there on her own without the Guardians. Pip the Troll's back. That's Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, not this Captain Marvel. It's the proper Captain Marvel's son in that. So it's interesting for me, all of this, and I just thought it might be interesting for, just to see the origins of these characters, and hopefully we're in for a good film. I will leave it there. Let me know, like I say, let me know in the comments. Give me a little like if you've stayed with me this far. And if you are mental, subscribe to my further ramblings. I thank you for any of that, particularly for listening if you're still here. And on that note, I will bid everyone adios.